Hello again, everybody. What I have right here is a bottle of Pepsi Holiday Spice. Pepsi Holiday Spice was originally released on November 1st of 2004, where it had an 8-week run only during the holiday seasons. It was then discontinued, never showed back up in 2005, but then it showed back up once again in 2006, just a couple weeks before Christmas hit, and even on the second run, it had a shorter lifespan because after those 2 weeks, it was gone. Nobody could find it. Now what I have here is a bottle of Pepsi Fire. Pepsi Fire was originally released in 2004 alongside Pepsi Ice, which it was available in most Asian areas. It was then discontinued in 2005, and then 12 years later, Pepsi Fire came back in 2017. Only in the US, but during the 2017 run, it was also available in Canada, but only as a Slurpee variant. Now, the exact reason why this video even exists today is because when I was doing my research on Pepsi Fire, it was mentioned in the article that Pepsi Fire, when it had come out, they mentioned that a soda that had come out before Pepsi Fire, which was Pepsi Holiday Spice, was actually really the only honest and closest thing that had come out prior to Pepsi Fire. And the title of today's video is going to be, is Pepsi Holiday Spice and Pepsi Fire the same thing? Today, I'm going to do a taste test of both of these side by side. I'll probably do that first in this video, but more importantly, what I'm really going to do, that's going to really get down to the bottom of this puzzle, is I'm going to scan the ingredients on both of these drinks. But first of all, before I taste test these, let's take a look at the colors. Pepsi Fire is on Pepsi Fire and Pepsi Holiday Spice. Now, as you guys can clearly see, Pepsi Fire and Pepsi Holiday Spice, they both have an amber color to them, except Pepsi Holiday Spice has more of a darker amber, whereas Pepsi Fire, it's just slightly lighter of a shade. But other than that, that's really all we know so far. Let's go ahead and do the taste test. First, I'll do Pepsi Fire just because it's a little bit newer. Boom. Okay, Pepsi Fire tastes like I remembered it. It definitely has that zap of cinnamon in it. Very slightly spicy, but definitely not overwhelming. Okay. Now, let's try Pepsi Holiday Spice. Got my little palate cleanse here. This is going to be very important before trying Pepsi Holiday Spice. But let's just finish off the serving of Pepsi Fire. Okay, so Pepsi Fire, it has that cinnamon taste to it. And Pepsi Fire was originally inspired by the Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. So there's the inspiration there. So Pepsi Fire, it just all around has a very cinnamony taste and very slight spice. And when it has carbonation, it's actually a little bit more potent. Now, before I try the Pepsi Holiday Spice, what I can tell you guys about Pepsi Holiday Spice is that it has a similar flavor to what's called potpourri. And potpourri, P-O-T-P-O-U-R-R-I, is a mixture of dried petals and spices placed in a bowl of sachet to scent a drawer or space. What I found out is when I tried Pepsi Holiday Spice is I thought it was a little bit more of a subtle spicy than Pepsi Fire. but let's give it a shot. Okay, yes. Already I can tell that Pepsi Holiday Spice has a much more settle and calm spiciness to it. The way I can describe it is if this is what potpourri is supposed to taste like, that is exactly how it would taste. Now, what we know about Pepsi Fire is right here on the label. It clearly says it's a cinnamon flavored cola with natural and artificial cinnamon flavors. And Pepsi Holiday Spice is potpourri. So as far as the taste test is concerned between Pepsi Fire and Pepsi Holiday Spice, Pepsi Fire, they're both spicy, but Pepsi Fire is a little bit spicier. Now, the question is Pepsi Fire and Pepsi Holiday Spice the same thing? What I'm going to do is I'm going to scan the ingredients, and if these are the same, are they really? And what makes them the same? And if there are any differences, and if they are completely different, what makes them different? Let's go ahead and take a look here. Okay, so to break matters down very simply, for the very first 6 ingredients, they're almost completely identical. So, they both have carbonated water. Well, first of all, let me read the ingredients of both of them. Here's Pepsi Holiday Spice. Carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup and or sugar, natural flavors, caramel color, phosphoric acid, citric acid, potassium benzoate, which is to preserve the freshness, potassium citrate, which is a citric acid, caffeine, gum arabic, and red number 40. Pepsi Fire, carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, natural and artificial flavor, caramel color, phosphoric acid, which is a corrosive to form 3 different salts, citric acid, sodium citrate, gum arabic, caffeine, sodium benzoate, which preserves the freshness, potassium sobrate, which also preserves the freshness, and red number 40. Now, let's scan the ingredients and find out what's the same. The first 6 ingredients in both of these are almost exactly the same. So first of all, they both have carbonated water, they both have high fructose corn syrup, except Pepsi Holiday Spice has high fructose corn syrup and or sugar. Pepsi Fire does not. They both have natural flavors, except Pepsi Fire has natural and artificial flavors. Pepsi Holiday Spice does not. They both have caramel color for the 4th ingredient. They both have phosphoric acid for the 5th ingredient. They both have citric acid at number 6. Now, let's take a look at the very distinctive differences of both of these. So first of all, a bit of a difference is that Pepsi Fire has 12 different ingredients, whereas Pepsi Holiday Spice has 11. And before I go completely into the differences, one thing that I must note is on ingredient number 9 for both of these, they both have the same exact amount of caffeine content. Okay, so the first difference is that Pepsi Holiday Spice has potassium benzoate. Pepsi Fire does not, and potassium benzoate is to preserve the freshness. The second difference is that Pepsi Holiday Spice has potassium citrate. Pepsi Fire does not. The next difference is that Pepsi Holiday Spice has... Never mind, that is not a difference. Okay, yes, that is a difference. So, the next difference is that Pepsi Holiday Spice has less gum arabic than Pepsi Fire. And then the next difference is that while they both have red number 40, Pepsi Holiday Spice has just a little bit more red number 40 in it than Pepsi Fire. In the final stretch, for the official differences is taking a look at Pepsi Fire. Pepsi Fire has sodium citrate in it. Pepsi Holiday Spice does not. The next difference is that Pepsi Fire has sodium benzoate in it, which preserves the freshness. Pepsi Holiday Spice does not. Next up, Pepsi Fire has potassium sobrate, which is also to preserve the freshness. Pepsi Holiday Spice does not. And that's it. The last ingredient in Pepsi Fire is red number 40, but that is at ingredient number 12, where Pepsi Holiday Spice is at red number 40. So at the end of the day, is Pepsi Fire and Pepsi Holiday Spice the same thing? No, they are not completely identical, but they are very similar. And the only difference is really when you're taste testing them and looking at the color is that Pepsi Holiday Spice, like I said earlier, just has a little bit of a darker shade of amber in the color, whereas Pepsi Fire is a little bit lighter. In Pepsi Fire, it just tastes a bit spicier and more intense than Pepsi Holiday Spice. But other than that, they were not lying in the article of Pepsi Fire. Pepsi Holiday Spice really is the closest and most honest thing that had ever come out prior to Pepsi Fire. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed.